2024 Republican presidential candidate Governor Ron DeSantis joins the great Lawrence Jones now in Georgia. Take it away, Lawrence.
Yeah, great and Lawrence Jones have never been together. Thanks, Brian and Ainsley. Governor, thanks so much for joining the program. So we introed this segment with playing the sound of you saying that Newsom is running a shadow campaign. Do you believe he's going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party?
Not after last night, I don't think he will be, because I think we exposed him, we exposed the failed liberal policies, and he didn't really have an answer. I mean, he would just obfuscate, he would shift, he would lie. That is not going to play well.
How hard was that, dealing with Sean Hannity putting up the facts and the graphics, and it shows what's happening in Florida, it's showing up what's happening in California, and he just totally dismisses the facts on the board.
But it didn't ring true to the viewer, because when he's up there saying things they know are false, like saying California's taxes are lower than Florida, everyone knows that's false. When he says Biden is 100% mentally fit at the top of his game, everybody knows that's a lie. And so when you tell obvious untruths, I think people are colored. And also, what's his answer to the map I showed of San Francisco, where they plot all the places where they have the poop? And it's like, wait a minute, that is what's happened to one of the formerly great cities in the country under his watch, and they did clean it up for the communist dictator.
They did.
So it could happen, but they decided to do this. So I think that I think the Democrats want to move Biden out. I think they realize that he's got liabilities. I think Newsom was waiting in the wings, but I also think that what we were able to show last night is, fact is, conservative policies work. We've had success. He's taken a state that is probably the most naturally beautiful state in the country, and people are fleeing in record numbers. They even ran out of U-Hauls at one point because people are leaving California in such big numbers. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Do you worry that there is a segment of the population? We all have some friends and family members that we know. We present them the facts at the dinner table, and then they still take the emotional route. Do you think some people bought the emotion last night, or do you think because you delivered the facts of the matter that they're going to go with your side of the argument?
Well, I think the people that aren't kind of in one camp or another. Now, we have become more polarized and tribal, kind of that. But I think most people that looked at it fairly are like, wait a minute, you shouldn't be letting criminals back out. It's not right to allow people to just steal from the stores. I mean, I told a story about people from California will tell me, oh my gosh, I went into your store, I could just buy the toothpaste off the shelf, because in places like San Francisco, they got to put every item under lock and key because people will just go in and steal stuff. So I think when people see a society just kind of collapse because of liberal policies, everyone outside that liberal bubble, I think, understands that, there's a better way. Florida's shown there's a better way. But that ultimately is the debate for the country, because Newsom and Biden, they're basically two peas in the pod. Newsom's probably 5 years more aggressive in his leftism than where Biden is. But a second term for any of these people, you would see the Californication of the United States, and that'd be a disaster.
Let's talk about one of the contentious issues, and that's abortion. He tried to hit you on the heartbeat bill, and then he was told by Sean Hannity, look, will you denounce, late-term abortion? This is what Governor Newsom had to say. Let's watch.
Do you support any restrictions at all on abortion, especially in months 7, 8, and 9, past viability?
I'm going to answer that question, but let's talk about the issue of abortion. Let's talk about the issue of abortion.
You're going to answer it?
I'm going to answer that question. Okay. I'll repeat that. But I think this is important, and it bears repeating. Ron DeSantis has signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America.
Should it be illegal?
It should be up to the mother and her doctor and her conscience. And it
so
almost
the answer is
always,
no restriction.
I've already answered it.
So he wouldn't answer the question about any restrictions.
Because he doesn't support any. I mean, I think California, they fund with tax dollars abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. That's the law in California, and that's what he does support. He doesn't want to verbalize that, because I think most Americans look at it and say, well, wait a minute. You just go in, a week before a baby's born and just snuff it out. I mean, people know that that's wrong, and that position's very unpopular, but he has taken an extreme position. And the thing is, using taxpayer money to do that, I think, is doubly problematic for a lot of people, because they don't want their tax dollars going to a late-term abortion.
So, Governor, you got Iowa coming up. The elephant in the room was Donald Trump wasn't there. You got to beat him to be the nominee. What are you going to do differently? Because the polling is the polling. And you said, look, you don't put much stock into the polling because no one has casted a vote. What are you going to do to shore up support within the Republican Party? Because I go to these diners all over the country, and I see the DeSantis people. They love you. They love what you've done as a governor, but they still are MAGA, 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 Donald Trump being their guy. So how are you going to win a lot of these people that are within this diner?
Well, I think last night showed I'm the only guy running that's got a record of winning and winning big for conservatives. Yes, winning elections big. We need to win. We haven't won a lot of elections. But then delivering on all these promises. I deliver on 100% of my promises. If I tell you I'm going to build the wall, stop the invasion, take that to the bank. I am going to do it. If I tell you we're going to go in there and deal with this swamp and drain it, I am going to do it. This isn't just lip service. So people know that I'm the leader who will go in there. I can serve 2 terms, which we need a 2-term president, and get the job done. And I think that's what we want.
So as your message is Donald Trump didn't deliver?
Well, look, he had 4 years, obviously. We don't have a border wall. We don't have a drained swamp. Hillary, he let her off the hook, and then we had a massive explosion of the debt. That's just the reality. I don't know how it would be better as a lame duck president, even if he could get elected. I have an ability to go in there, win a strong victory, serve 2 terms, and deliver on all these things. And so, yeah, we need someone that's going to fight. And Donald Trump would fight for people. A lot of establishment Republicans won't even do that. They just cut and run. But you got to win these big fights. That's what I've proven to do. And then you got to lead with a vision that's going to bring people together. In Florida, I took a state that was closely divided, and we turned it into a 60-40 state. We need to bring more people into the fold for Republicans. The woke left is a disaster. Most people want an other alternative. I think I've shown an ability to bring more people into the fold than he has.
Ron DeSantis from the great state of Florida. Governor, thanks so much for joining us.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.